Welcome to the Venly Expert Talks, where we aim to inspire Web3 builders with great stories from great minds. I'm your host, Alexandra Ahrens, and I'd like to remind you that you can always reach out to us on Twitter, Discord, or LinkedIn with ideas for the podcast and questions for our guests. Welcome to episode 35 of the Venly Expert Talks. Today I'm joined by Ryan Lassi, SVP of Marketing at House of Kibaa, and we're going to be talking about how to make it through a bear market. So welcome, Ryan. Thanks for taking your time today.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks. And so let's jump right into, I want to know your background and how you got started in crypto, the origin story, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely. My background is very much originally not in crypto, as I think many people's is not. But my first exposure was probably 2017, around the time kind of Bitcoin, Ethereum, that hype started really building. I worked in the music industry at Spotify at the time, so I was working really closely with a lot of artists. A lot of artists were getting into it. So that was my first bit of dabbling in the space. I really didn't get super invested into it until probably 2021, when I was working with some artists and some management companies that were diving much deeper into Web3. And that's kind of where my point of interest really shifted. My career shifted. I ended up with House of Kibaa. But prior to that, I really come from marketing, music, ran record labels when I was young, worked at Red Bull for 10 years, or close to 10 years in various marketing functions, went to Spotify during the pre and post IPO phase of the business. And then from there, started making my way into startups and found my interest was helping grow businesses or people versus just kind of sustaining the existing brands out there. So Web3 just made sense. It's like it's so early. There's so much opportunity for innovation, and that's what excites me. It's just that idea of bettering the web experience, bettering artists and creators, and then the people that want to be part of it. And I think that's there's so much we can do across the board. So that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I was going to say it's quite a big jump from Red Bull and Spotify to House of Kibaa. That's really cool.
I mean, it's one of as big of a jump as you could get, probably.
Yeah.
Where stability versus high risk, but that's why I did it. It's
okay.
It's
cool.
It's important for people to make their way over to the space to help build it and help others prosper. So,
yeah, cool. Very cool. Okay. Maybe you can give us an overview of what House of Kibaa is, just for anyone who's listening who might be unfamiliar.
Yeah, for sure. House of Kibaa is, in my best terms, kind of an innovation hub and studio that is helping bridge Web 2 to Web 3. So we have a team of creative strategists, 3D artists, tech wizards, marketers, and we're delivering NFT and blockchain solutions for other partners and businesses. And then 2, we have our own set of products we're building, whether it be our metaverse land that's built in Unreal Engine and is blockchain agnostic, so works across multiple blockchains, or we have our PFP projects, which have evolved into play to earn game, has evolved into the first live action sci-fi series. We've got quite a bit on our plate, but really at the core of it, I'd say we are helping bridge Web 2 to Web 3, make that jump easy for people, and then innovate through our NFT architecture, our amazing 3D artists, and then our strategy.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think that kind of that overall goal has been very well aligned with Venly, especially through the meta ring. Because of that, it's been interesting. It's been really cool to work with you guys. I know our community team in particular loves you guys.
Well, I love you guys too, and it's just fun that we have like our own little Slack channel between each group, and it's just like, if someone has a question or anything comes up, it definitely feels like we work together as a team rather than even just a partner, right? And I think that's what this whole space is built on.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's exactly right. Cool. So in the same kind of way that you did it, but maybe not as generally, what would be some tips that you might have for someone who wants to transition from classic design to NFT design?
Yeah, I think the beauty of the space is that there's room for everyone and every type of design, every type of art, every type of creative. There's space for everyone. And for me, I think making that shift is more about a mindset shift versus your craft. And I think what it comes down to is, having that ability or willingness to adapt fast, identify your interest versus just the interests of other people. And I think that's sick with creators in general. Where I've seen success working in music was that the creators that did their thing versus someone else's thing is what helped them really like move. And I think that when you start talking about IP ownership in Web3 and that ability to own your product versus someone else owning it, or granting ownership to someone else, like via an NFT, there is just so much more fulfillment there from a creator perspective. And I think if you get that willingness to adapt just a little bit to how the space really operates logistically and from a community perspective, you'll be so much more liberated from working that 9 to 5 design job for somebody else. Because Web3 just sets you up to explore yourself, explore others, and I think the ownership aspect of it is just what gets me so excited, and hopefully will be what gets other creatives excited and interested and like kind of tiptoeing into the space or jumping in head first. That's my biggest thing, is just that willingness to adapt a little bit, but know you can still be exactly who you are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like it. Cool. Good. Let's kind of look at the bear market now. A lot of people don't like talking about it, but it was something that you specifically want to talk about. So I'm very intrigued. Kind of maybe let's start out very generally with, first of all, why? Why did you want to talk about it? Let's start there.
I was so inspired. A few weeks ago, I went to NFT NYC, and we are in like the heart of the bear market right now. Like this is like it's very bearish, and it's quite frankly it's bearish across not just Web3 but global markets, right? So we have to remember that. So I think in Web3 and crypto, everyone's like we start sometimes feeling siloed, like we are this only thing in a bear market, but it's just not what it is. So you step outside of that a little bit and take that bigger picture view, and you're like, oh, okay, we're not alone. So I went to NFT NYC, and I was blown away. I was like, NFTs are not dead. Web3 is not dead. We are not going anywhere. Like it is more alive than ever. And in fact, we're just that early, and we just kind of stumbled into this global bear market across all markets. But what got me excited about the topic was seeing, for at least for the first time since I've really, really deep dove into NFTs and Web3, was like real life utility and people emerging from their PFPs, and probably a lot of people for the first time, right? Where they're like, they've kind of hidden behind this Twitter account, and then it got them out of that world and into their real life world. And I was seeing, founders dox themselves. And I think one of the biggest things in this bear market was like, you have to build trust. And to build trust often takes some sort of doxing at some point. Not to say you have to be this super public figure all the time, but I was just super inspired by people like founders that wanted to bring their communities together and show that this is real. And then you walk into Times Square and there's these billboards everywhere. And it's like, it just made me realize like, yes, we may be in a bear market, but we're just at the beginning of this whole thing. And it's just not going anywhere. And I think that's what inspired me to talk about it. It's like, it's okay to be in a bear market. It's our time to build. It's the most important time to build.
Cool. There's a couple points that you just said that I want to dig into a little bit deeper here. So first thing you mentioned was utility. So obviously utility has been important the whole time, of course, and maybe even growing in importance. Why is it specifically so important right now, would you say?
I'd say that for the last year, during these projects dropping and the hype and the FOMO building, there was this expectation to build roadmaps, and everyone had to have a roadmap. And if you didn't have a roadmap, you were a rug pull and this and that. And quite frankly, I think probably even a lot of the rug pulls had no intention of being rug pulls because they just panicked on expectations and didn't know what to do. Right. So I think utility doesn't have to be a physical tool that you provide someone, whether it's digitally or in real life. Utility doesn't have to mean you're giving someone an opportunity to flip an NFT to make money. Where I'm starting to really see in a bear market, the most important utility is the brand building piece. And I kind of mentioned this as if you can build purpose for a community and the holders in your community to then go advocate on behalf of your brand or identify with your brand, you're going to build more and more audience. It's very basic marketing and branding 101, right? So I think the utility I'm really focusing on for myself when I'm looking at projects is what brands and what people are here to stay and building meaningful purpose within the space. And I think that's the utility specifically I'm looking for is the brand building piece. I'm really enjoying projects that are focusing on less roadmap, more communication, and more community interaction. Let the community help you build, right? That's what we want to do. I'm in many communities, and that's what I want to do for that community is help them build too. And I think utility can come in any form a founder or a community decides that it can come in. It does not have to be so black and white.
What would you say to brands that are maybe concerned about getting their community involved, having an effect on kind of watering down the brand in any way?
That's a good question. I think you should listen to your community the same way big brands listen to either their investors or their board members or brands do surveys all the time, NPS scores, all these traditional things, right? You should listen to your community, but you shouldn't act on every single thing that your community says to do or that one person says to do. You ultimately have to build that brand in a way that is meaningful to you as a creator or a founder. And yes, look at the market, look at the community, speak to the people you want to speak to, but you never have to listen to everyone, and nor should any brand listen to everyone. You're not trying to please every single person out there. And if a community or a person decides, you know what, this isn't right for me anymore, the beauty of Web3 is you have that opportunity to make decisions for yourself, and you can leave that community. What I hope we get away from is all the FUD and all the anxiety it brings to people, because it's not necessary. You know, I think, again, people forget that a lot of the people building for them are just real people, just like they are, right? And you have to take that step back as a founder or as a brand, and be okay with some people not being happy, and just try to learn from it, and don't let those instances water down what you're trying to build. You know, instead let it empower you a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So between what you said initially with trust and a lot of the founders doxing themselves, and kind of how you just mentioned you need to build for yourself, and people forget that it's a real person behind the project sometimes, how do you think those things interact with the bear market? Is it something where the bear market is helping bring that, making it function together a little bit better?
I think so, because for a couple of reasons. I think one, the people that, well, at least what I've noticed, I'm not saying I'm an expert in every aspect of communities and whatnot, but what I see from my personal experience was when people felt that you weren't bringing value to them, and they couldn't make more money off your NFT or this or that, it created this FUD and this stress and this anxiety, even for myself. I was like, man, this is brutal out here. And we've had moments even at House of Kibaa where we've gone through changes that have created this like snowball effect of just accusations, and we've luckily worked through them because we're a docs team and that's what we do. What I think this bear market helps is weed out some of the people that are here for the wrong reasons, or the people that aren't willing to accept that we aren't just here to make you a bunch of passive money, right? We're here to build really meaningful change and growth within the space. And that's what has helped the bear market has helped, is like this PFP casino where people are here just flipping NFTs, and there's always going to be a piece of that, of course, but that's what it was like at the heart for so long over the last 6 months to 12 months, was like this FOMO in, can I make a buck on this? A lot of that's gone. People are picking and choosing wisely where they want to put their money or their time. And I think that I'm probably rambling on a bit and losing some of the question, but that to me is like why the bear market has really helped some of this, because it's allowed many people to refocus their energy, whether you're simply consuming and part of communities or you are building. And it's helped both sides.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the other point that you mentioned at the top was building. So, and you just mentioned it again. And it's something that, of course, we're talking a lot about as well, of now is the time to build. What does that look like for you and your team? And how would you kind of translate that into ideas for people listening?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a time to like use this bear market as a point of motivation, right? Like in my mind, the people that are here working are the ones that are going to succeed. You know, I think that's this. It's again classic like brand and product building. Like we're always going to go through this sort of like up and down cycle of markets. I think from a House of Kibaa perspective, when we saw the market kind of trending down, you know, yeah, we made some tough decisions when it came to product launches, and you know, maybe having to change what some of the products looked like, or how we delivered, or when we delivered. But I'd say where when you communicate that effectively to your holders or your people that are part of your community, you find that it actually empowers you and them to build together versus us just building for somebody else, like, or for them, right? Like, instead of us just talking and speaking and saying, this is what you want, we've now flipped it and been like, what do you want? And what are the tools that are going to actually help you build your experience in Web3? And so when we were talking about, say, our land sale, our pocket dimension land sale that we've been building, we had this big vision for it and all these utilities, which we still have. But instead of like us saying, we're going to deliver this, in this order, we've now been speaking with the community, doing like monthly, quarterly sort of community conversations and meetups to figure out what is the most important to deliver now versus tomorrow. So it's helped us reprioritize our product building and how those pieces weave together and kind of connect into one ecosystem. And I think that's been really inspiring to me as a leader in House of Kibaa, is that ability to just take a step back, make sure we're all on the same level together, and finding out what is actually bringing people the most value versus what do I think brings the most value. That's kind of been my mindset when it came to like the building piece for House of Kibaa.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you've talked about community a lot, and that's completely makes sense, of course. How do you see that as kind of an avenue for not just building, but how important, or in what ways is the community important for you in the bear market where it wasn't necessarily as important in a bull market?
Yeah, I mean, I know everyone always says this, but like in a lot of ways, community is everything because it is your foundation. The people that have been with House of Kibaa from the beginning, when we did our Genesis drop and then our Gen X drop and on, it's like those people are so fundamentally core to our existence. And I think I kind of referenced this early, rather than a lot of people FOMOing in to the market right now, they're looking for stability and they're looking for meaning. And if you have an authentic community that cares about what you're building and is invested and excited about what you're building, those are people that will go out and talk about you, support you, stand with you. And that's the best form of, one, marketing, but two, the best form of, I guess, optically, like there's trust and credibility within your business. And I think we can't lose sight of that, and no one should lose sight of that. You can't get too greedy and think you are so big and so good that people will just come, because it's just not the way it is. And we're seeing that. And now I'm really thinking about every decision I make or every piece of communication I put out into the world, and ensuring that I'm thinking of it from the lens of each possible stakeholder within that project. So fundamentally, my community is everything to me. And it doesn't mean I don't want to bring more people in and expand to greater groups of, like, larger groups of people. But man, I've learned so much from the people I get to communicate with. I mentioned NFT NYC. I got to meet a lot of them in person for the first time, and they flew to NYC to meet with their communities and their people. And I was just so inspired and grateful to actually be one of them and connect at that level. Because again, oftentimes as someone helping lead a company, you do feel alone sometimes, and you feel like you're just trying to build a campaign to tell people to do something and build a call to action. And you have to take a step back from that and really make sure you stay on the same level as everyone. That's, with anything I do, that's now my goal, is just being on that same level.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. So we did talk about utility. How else, or maybe could you dig into that a little bit further? How do you think a bear market influences the way NFTs are created, sold, purchased?
Yeah. This is a crazy one for me. I don't know. My hope is that it doesn't change the way things are created per se. When it comes to, like, if I'm a creative and I come in and I have my art, it should never change the way you think about your art. What I think will help the creative process from like kind of utility perspective is like companies like, say, like a House of Kibaa or a Venly. It's like we can now see, as things have gotten bearish, what are the things people are caring about the most, and how can we build on those things to further the Web3 experience? So I think, consumers are hesitant to impulse buy things the way they were. I mentioned the PFP casino and people flipping. Like, people are afraid, it's like it's their hard-earned cash. And if, like, they're not going to get that back in some way, like, that piece of the purchasing of NFTs is significantly slowed. So I think people are looking for the stability, the credibility. I think people are looking for their founders to dox if they haven't, or they want to know there's some truth behind them. And I think that is pushing founders into doxing. There's a lot more people doxing right now than there were 6 months ago, that's for sure. And that's creating authenticity. So I think those fundamental ideas of authenticity and trust are going to impact the sales of secondary sales right now. So people jumping into a community or a project they weren't in before, they're like, oh, dead fellas, like they doxed, they brought IRL utility to their fans. They have a vibrant community. There's no FUD. There's none of this like anxiety around it. Okay, I'll jump in and I'm going to join this community because I feel this sense of stability and I feel this sense of care from the founders, right? So I think you're going to see more of that versus people paying to jump into a new project that is just unheard of, right? So yeah, again, it comes down to that genuine brand building and that genuine idea to attach yourself to something that has greater meaning, that you trust, and that can help you stay or grow in the space.
Mm-hmm. So focusing more on the things you like rather than just flipping.
Exactly. Focus on like what you enjoy. And especially if you're new into the space and just coming in, think about what you like and what inspires you and what gets you excited. That's why you should be here, right? Like that's the beauty of this space, is it's gonna be this endless environment that will take you into art world, into this is going to go in so many different fields eventually, and we're just scratching the surface. Maybe come in and like speak to NFT Twitter on what you want, and that doesn't exist yet, and then create it with people, right? Like that's what it's all about.
Yeah, now's the time to build.
Build, yeah.
As we keep saying.
Yeah.
Cool. Very good. Let's go into the building. Let's go into how do you see, or what opportunities do you see, I guess, for innovation during this time that maybe weren't at all available before the bear market hit?
I think I kind of alluded to this a little bit when it came to like roadmap building. I think there was such a a strict structure and expectation from communities to like build this physical roadmap that had dates and milestones and this and that. And the reality of a roadmap is that it forces you into a corner in a industry that just changes and moves so fast. So 1 month is like a year, and I think it actually decreases your ability to innovate in many ways. I think the opportunity to innovate, or just one opportunity to innovate, is to actually build fluidity within your processes, so that you can adapt, adjust, change your plans. And I know that's more of like a process thing versus like a technical like innovation, but I think that is like just so critical because you want to set expectations for the people that follow you, in a way that allows you to adjust. And that's, for me, at House of Kibaa, we've completely like started flipping, like literally back in May, June, we delivered this roadmap for our Gen Zeros project. And we're like, yes, this date, this. And then we so quickly realized like, it's probably not even possible because, but what it did is actually, we were like, we went back to the community, we were like, hey guys, we're changing this date, but it's because we actually want to make it perfect for you. And it allowed us to then innovate on the way we were putting together the smart contracts. It allowed us to innovate the way we were doing the artwork and the creative, and then change the way it could impact the experience you have within the metaverse. So I think giving yourself that ability to adjust allows you to do better things and better innovate for your community. That's been my thinking with innovation. Again, I'm not like a tech wizard by any means, so that piece of innovation I'm not great at speaking to. But I think as far as like process and allowing yourself to have that time for innovation is critical.
Okay. So do you feel like do you feel like there's maybe less pressure right now than you have, because it's not such a financial focused time in the same way that it was before, that you have more opportunity? Does that make sense?
I think it's like case by case. So for me, there's always pressure because I work in marketing, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like I'm on the front lines, and I'm just a stress case in general. But that aside, I think now the pressure is just shifted from like the need to do something every single day and like ensure you're communicating every single day and providing this clear roadmap. That pressure is eased up, at least from my perspective. The people that I'm speaking to from our community or from our followers or whoever, they're expecting now for us to deliver, versus just talk. So the pressure actually shifts to ensuring we're delivering something really meaningful to them versus just delivering something to deliver something because we said we would. And I think a lot of projects get stuck in this like, oh shit, we just minted out this project. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do to fulfill? Oh, maybe we'll just make some merch. Oh, maybe we'll buy some metaverse land. And then like everyone's like, it's just, there's no strategy behind it. There's no thought put into it. So for me, it's like just a shift in pressure, but in a good way. It's allowing me to think strategically how we're going to deliver these things. What does the communication plan look like in a really thoughtful, meaning way that then ties back to House of Kibaa's brand and what we're doing, actually building that into a brand versus just a product delivery service. So it's just a shift of pressure and mindset, but for the right reasons. It's it's adding way more meaning to me as someone in the space versus like just executing and having that pressure of needing to execute. I'm actually now thinking about executing against really meaningful products and building a brand that has meaning and ties to those products. And that's the exciting stuff for me.
Yeah. No, makes sense. That's fair. Good. I do want to touch just for a moment on gaming because it is such a big thing for House of Kibaa and obviously a little bit for Venly as well. What do you think about strategizing with gamification during the bear market?
I think it's in a bear market, you putting out products and building FOMO and doing these things is a natural challenge, right? Because people are afraid to spend money and jump into something new they're unsure of. What gamification can help do, bear market or not, actually, is really encourage engagement. And engagement can grow followers, communities, fans, and you don't need to be even putting out tons and tons and tons of new content or products to gamify one, how you communicate, or gamify how you leverage your existing products that are on the market. And I think finding ways to continually engage your people and the other new people out there will be critical. I mean, look at very Web 2 example, but it's fitting is that, like, take TikTok for an example. They gamified their whole platform through something so simple and consumable, trends, dancing, things people understand and relate to. They rewarded people for doing those trends or for being more engaged. So if I got on TikTok and I engaged and then I engaged again, I got rewarded with them pushing my content farther. And that created this sense of, like, in a really simple way, like that sense of belonging and it got me to get my friends on. And you can do that in the same way with, whether it's your Discord, your Twitter, say for us, our metaverse land we're building out, where maybe we have people bring in their people that have never been part of Web3 and get to explore something. Maybe it's our play to earn game we've built and we're doing tournaments and there's rewards. Like, gamification is an empowering thing from a group perspective and an individual perspective. So you can leverage gamification in both ways. And I just find that powerful when it comes to both marketing and just like engagement in general. So I think it's critical. It gives your people a voice. It gives them a purpose, and it keeps them excited. So I'm a big fan of just gamification across the board.
In general, all the time.
All the gamification, give it all to me.
Everywhere. Okay, good. I want you to kind of think about, if you're talking directly to collectors right now and consumers and that kind of audience, what would you want them to know and what would you advise them to do during this bear market?
Yeah. For me, it's really finding the people you connect with and the brands you connect with. I think I've watched some really amazing communities grow organically in the bear market from nothing. And it turned into it's like this, snowball effect of like-minded people coming together and rallying around something. It gave those people greater purpose and, like, a lot of people an opportunity to meet new people they haven't met or find new projects they haven't found. I'd say use it as an opportunity to explore what you actually want within the space versus trying to follow what others are constantly doing or what someone says to do. Take it as a moment to actually learn and discover, because if you're if the trends are shifting from just flipping NFTs all day to building real products and opportunities for people to grow and better their life experiences through NFTs, like now's the time to really think about like what can NFTs or Web3 in general do to help you as a consumer or a collector. I'd also say, just for myself personally, I like support indie artists. Go out there and like, if you like music, there's music NFTs out there. Those sorts of things actually help artists so much because they can actually make money and then connect with their people, and then you as a holder might be able to earn royalties from it or things like that. Like, think about what your interests are and go support the creators that are making those things that you're really interested in. I think there's so much innovation and truth behind these creators out there that got lost in the Web 2 space behind companies that were holding on to data they owned that you helped them build. And we have an opportunity now to take a lot of that power back as a collector or as a consumer. So I'd also say I'm just super excited that you're here early with us, because this is the beginning. This is literally the very, very beginning still. And we're all learning. We all are figuring it out as we go. And I'm just as novice in the space as like in some ways as someone entering today. So I think that's how early it feels like we are still.
Yeah. Awesome. Really great. Would you add anything or change anything if you're talking directly to people just starting projects right now?
I have nice ways to say this and like
let's shoot for the middle road.
Yeah. I mean, for me, there's clearly still a lot of people coming into the space, especially when it comes to celebrities and things like that, that are coming to make a quick buck. And I would just say, don't even try. Like, that's not why we're here. And not to say I don't want celebrities in, because I have friends that are celebrities that are in the space, or people we've partnered with that are celebrities in the space. Everyone's welcome in the space if they're here for the right reasons. The Web3 community can take you down so fast if you are here for the wrong reasons. And we've seen it time and time again. But the other beautiful thing is, if you're here for the right reasons, the Web3 community can boost you and give you momentum faster than you've ever seen before. And I think that's what's so inspiring, is once people really understand your purpose in what you have to bring to Web3, there's endless support to go around. And that is the really exciting thing. So come with ideas, and it's okay if your ideas are similar to other people's ideas. Like, I mean, it's the same way in the real world. Like, we have products, different brands that do the same things, and that's okay. Everyone can find their different value proposition. But yeah, just come with genuine intentions and try to create something that you want to bring to the world that maybe you didn't have the opportunity before, and then leverage the community to give you real feedback and help you build it, versus you trying to build it on your own. Because that's the foundation of Web3 and NFTs is built on communities and communities building things up. So yeah, keeping that open-mindedness and that willingness to accept others and their feedback, I think is super important and can only help better your experience and everyone else's experience.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. It's time to start wrapping up. So is there any points that you think we skipped over you want to mention, and or anything you'd like to plug?
I mean, I think for me, I've harped on it over and over again that we are early, but we're in the beginning phase of true brand building. And I don't think this necessarily happened in the same way it will happen now. And so keep an eye out for that. It's like, yes, there are these major brands like a Yuga Labs and Bored Apes that kind of got this prestigious brand built around them. Some of it was timing, some of it was hype, some of it was products. Like the end of the day now, though, is it's going to be hard for tons and tons of brands to do that. The same way it's hard for there to be 100 Nikes or 100 Apples, right? So what I'd say is, yeah, just find your place and the people you want to help build, because there's still a lot of room to bring up those meaningful, inspiring brands and products. So, I mean, other than that, have fun. And I'm not going to shill you on anything today, but I'm really happy to be here and just connect with you, Alex, and hopefully connect with the Venly community again and keep building with you. Because I think, we're at the beginning still. We've got a lot of work to do, but it all happens when you build great partnerships with people and grow together.
Definitely. Couldn't agree more. Perfect. All right. Well, then, very last question here. Who should we have on Venly Expert Talks next?
Ooh.
This is your chance to call somebody out.
This is my NFT nerd side coming out.
Perfect.
This is me total consumer brain on.
Yeah.
There's this community called Moonrunners, and they did a free mint a month ago, maybe a little more than a month ago. And their community just exploded based on lore stories and changing when the moons changed in real life, the PFPs changed, and they've built this insanely engaged community only on Twitter. They don't have Discord. And then their founders, they haven't doxed, but they just released this amazing tweet about what the whole purpose was. And it's all community empowered. And they've got this really great community manager named SK. I can send you his Twitter if you want to reach out. He does such a great job leading Twitter Spaces and helping unlock the riddles. And it's just been, for me as a fan, so fun to watch. And I think it would be a great topic to talk about, community empowerment and how the community actually can shape your NFT project versus it just being a founder shaping it. And I believe they're going all the way into creating a DAO and a number of other great things. So it might be a cool conversation to talk with them about how it all came to life from a free mint that's still trading really well on OpenSea, all the way to now community-driven project that has long-term potential to succeed. So yeah, I can happily connect you if you'd like.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds great. I love that you're so enthusiastic about it.
So fun. I even have Twitter notifications set up when they tweet. It's so corny. I love it.
No, that's great. That's great. Yeah, let's do it for sure. Awesome. All right. Well then, Ryan, thank you again so much for taking your time. It's been a very engaging conversation. And yeah.
Happy to be here. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah. Look forward to seeing what we continue to do in the future.
All right. Talk to you soon.
If you like today's episode, please rate, follow, or subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. And if you really like our content, join our Discord community, where there's always good conversation, exciting news, and live AMAs. Thanks for listening.